both directors and the main actress in the film Vera, which was the opening film of the festival last night. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's such an honor to have you, and congratulations with your wonderful film. This is going to be a talk for approximately 1 hour, and maybe we can start, and then we're going to give the guests the possibility also to ask questions, and we're going to screen some clips from the film as well. First, maybe I wanted to ask, I should introduce you.
Yes.
Vera. She is the main actress in the film. Pizza Kovi, director, and Rainer Trimmer, also director. And actually, this is the third film that we screen
Yes.
by you at the festival.
That's very good.
But my first question is, how did this idea come about to make this film, Vera?
Well, the idea is always, we are very curious people, and I think filmmakers and everybody should be very curious about life. And what it makes us more curious is if we meet people who are completely different than we are, who live differently, who think differently. And that makes us more curious, because there we can learn something. And that was when we met Vera, no? That we were very curious about her. First of all, because we right away judged her, and we said, no, not interesting. No, oh, Vera. and then we met her really, and we talked to her, and we fell in love with her. And that's what is something, she's so different. And in the same way, we are really thinking often the same things. So we are really close, I would say. So this was the idea of the movie. Normally comes when we meet people we are interested in, but it's not that we meet these people because we at once think we have to make a movie about them. That would be a pity. We meet with a lot of people we find us interesting, but we'll never make movies about them. So there are more things that have to come together. Maybe there are two elements in this movie. There is Vera, and there's the second element. This is this assecuration scam, we call it like this. And this is also a very funny story. I was traveling in Naples, and I would advise to everyone traveling with the train to take the small train. They take a lot of time. And south of Italy, these small trains, there you can meet the most craziest people. They come in with the chicken, and that's really, I met a lot of people. They always ask, what are you doing? How are you living? And there was a man, I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, he's organizing scams with the assecuration. So I said, oh, that's interesting, how you do it, no? And he explained me everything. He was very proud how he do it. He would go to a football camp, and when a boy has a broken arm, he would say, no, don't go to the hospital, we will sit you in the car, and nothing will happen to you, and we go to the hospital afterwards and better gain money, and so. So I thought this was very interesting, and when I met Vera, it was the interest for her, but then these two stories came together because she told me a lot of very funny and very sad stories about her ex-boyfriends. So I thought this would come together there, and this was the point when I said this would really be interesting to do a movie.
And how was it for you, Vera, to do this? Were you a little bit scared in the beginning, or were you happy that they were going to make this film, or how was it for you?
At the beginning, I didn't trust Tizza a lot because I wasn't. I couldn't believe to be so interesting to make a movie about my sad story of life, or about my obsession of beauty. And I didn't understood at the time why she wanted to do a movie about me. So the first reaction was, I don't have any money to do this movie. And she told me, I don't want any money from you, I'm going to pay you for your work. So from that moment I started to think that maybe I could be interesting for real. And I found the courage, the same courage that I have in real life to be myself. That doesn't mean that I didn't do any work, but I found the courage to be naked like like the director in the movie said, the intellectual director, that is very funny. And would ask, have you ever been naked on stage? No? I've been naked in the movie for real with my soul, not with my body, which is even more difficult.
Yes, it was also idea we had both, that in this film, if there is someone naked, it has to be man. We have the naked man, but never woman.
And do you feel that this is sort of a good presentation of you, as of your life?
I don't know. I don't ask to myself if it's interesting or not concerning me. I mean, I don't know if it's interesting. I think it's a great movie because it's very honest, you know? And I think that the life of everybody can be very interesting. Everyone has his own story of life. We could make a movie about any single person easier. It depends from the sensibility that you have to tell this story, and they have a big one. But I don't think to give an idea so interesting of me in the movie. I'm kind of sad, like in real life.
But still, it's not a sad movie. That's what I think is the most beautiful thing about this movie, is that it has such a big heart. It's so warm.
Yes, everyone is telling me all the time from when I'm here that I have a big heart. You have a big heart. I want to be bad, you know. I want to become a little bit bad. I don't want to have this big heart all the time. Even because the movie teaches us that badness and goodness doesn't exist. We are all everything. It's true, I have a very good heart. I still trust people. I believe in love. I have a tattoo that says I believe in love. And but I can be even very bad. I mean, I'm not Madre Teresa di Calcutta.
Definitely not. Many people after the opening last night were wondering, what is real and what is fiction? I know a little bit about your work, and I know that you play with that, but could you elaborate on it, how it started?
Yes, we elaborate maybe that we are documentary filmmakers in the heart. So I never write a script which is good when I wrote it. It became always bad on the set, and the set is documentary because we put the actors and actresses in situation where they react with everything they know about life. So this is really also in directing a great collaboration, because we would accept everything what we get from the actors, we say the ideas you have writing, they are sometimes stupid, and because they are already influenced by what you saw in other movies. This makes me mad also when we teach that young people, they write characters that they have seen in other movies, but the real characters, they are really deep. Just a story, in the place where we live in Vienna, someone was shot before my house, and I went to the window, and the one who shot him, he was talking to him and complaining with him, and the shot one, he also complained with him, and then he went away very slowly. He was not running away, and I never saw this in real life. In the films, they are shooting and not talking and running. So that also, this is all this looking at reality. This teach you that it's different than what you see in film, and that's very important in painting characters. Is that you look really at real life and not at the characters you know from the films.
Yes, and we don't think in these categories, fiction or documentary. So for us, film is film, and I think it's from the beginning of history of film. It's if you watch the first Lumiere movies, so they are also very documentary, but they are also fiction. So because the first movie, the workers who are leaving the fabric, it's also a fiction movie, because they go in this direction and this direction.
They never look at
and they never look in the camera. So this is our love to cinema. We don't have these categories. Yes. But and in the end, Vera is playing a fictional character in this movie.
But a fictional character I wrote for her with everything I knew about her. So that's her also. So that's even for us difficult to tell. But we would say a good movie is a story to tell, and if that's documentary or experimental or fiction or avant-garde, that just has a story that has to arrive. No, it's the fact that's the important thing when you make a movie.
Okay. And what is your? You work a lot together. And do you have like strict rules? You do this, I do that, or how do you do it?
Yes, that's because we say democracy, which we love very much, doesn't work when we work. So no democracy. There's one who is the chef. So when I make the editing, and when we have different opinions, it's me that I will say no. Now I will do like I want. And when he makes the photography, and I say no, I would like the scene differently, and he thinks it's valid, it's him to decide, because this is not possible. That you find it's always bad to make compromise. Pasolini always said this. You have to do what you want, and so this is important for our roles. That we do, we make a decision. Maybe it's the wrong one, but there's one who decides, and not two. And in directing, sometimes, yes, we do.
I think it depends on the projects. In this project, it was Tizza more working with the protagonists. I was maybe more in the background working. It depends always on the project. The last project was more a documentary, so that maybe I did more in the research. So it depends very much on the project.
Yes. And we don't say we have to work together. That's for example, Vera. That was my idea. That was and I said, you want to do this with me, and the documentary about the underworld of Vienna. This was his. So this is also good. We are working on different ideas, and afterwards there's a decision. Do we do it again together, or don't you want it? That's not the dogma that we have to work together. But this first work together, for example, is very important because he's doing camera, I'm doing sound, we are two, and we know each other very well. I remember just once we made a small documentary about a Magnum photographer. And Rainer had to be for one day shooting, he could not be here. And they gave me a very good, very famous cameraman from Austria. And we went to do it was a great Magnum exhibition. And I went with this great photographer. And when I looked this way, he turned the camera, and I was becoming crazy. Everything I wanted, and I knew Rainer would do it like this. He did it the other way around. So that was the first time that I realized what a genius he is. Yes, because I thought everyone is like Rainer. This is easy what he does. It's logically. But there I realized that's completely crazy to work with someone you don't know and you don't have the same aesthetic views. No.
Yeah, that's very important. And you understand also that normally you have a small crew of people, and the actors that, for example, in this film, they're sort of playing themselves, so they're not experienced actors.
No, nobody, no. They're all first screen actors, but Vera, she did some movies, and Walter, the one who tells the story with the knife, he is in almost every movie of ours, because he's a circus man, and we love him very much, and he's like a luck bringer, no,
yes.
With pedals.
And he even received Silver Leopard for Best Actor in Locarno for one movie that we made with him. And we work in a very small team, so it's Tizza making the sound, I'm doing the camera.
16 millimeters over.
We're shooting on film, yes, and during this shooting we had an assistant in Rome who helped us organizing all the locations and the people but usually we just work in two.
This gives us a great freedom, and this gives us also the possibility to be very close to the actors, and this gives also the actors the impression that we are not better than they are, because I hate it when you work with non-professional actors or people from the street. There are the kids, the kid and the family, they really live in this neighborhood. So we don't come with big cars and we were the big directors, but we live there in this neighborhood in a very simple hotel. And it was very funny because it was just a bed and our equipment. That was where we lived two months and a half. And so we don't give they see that we don't live differently like this, and this gives also this respect that they would open up, because we are not the great directors who come and are better than them. That's not at all. So this is also very important, that a filmmaker has to think about when he makes movie, that he doesn't give the impression to be more intelligent or better or famous or whatever. This has no sense. We are all at the same level.
It was very successful. It was very natural, everything. Vera, you told us a little bit about your boyfriends, and not all of them are in this film. but the guy in the film, playing your boyfriend, was he your real boyfriend, or is it?
The stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is a representation of a kind of boyfriend, a group of boyfriend that wants us to be artists and used to ask me money to finance their way to be artists.
Sort of the role model of your previous boyfriends.
Sorry?
Your role model.
Yes.
Of the previous ones. But then...
But there is important, if I can judge, add that this is a very, very close friend to Vera. They have a rapport like sister and brother. So when I do the casting, I would not go for looking for a beautiful boyfriend, but I would ask Vera, now who do you know? Or I knew him because you worked together. I would say yes, maybe, because this is also important. When she lies in the bed, in her bed, because we shot at her home, with this man, that there is something that they are together already, because you can feel that they know each other. So it's even for us as directors easier that we have these real relations, the real sister, the real priest, the real everything, the real best friend. So
this is the guy that played the character of my boyfriend that used to make an adventure TV show with me, and he's a model. He's not really an actor, you know. So it was very funny because he sent us a little scene where he played a character of a policeman, and he was terrible. So me and Tizza, we was so worried because the day after we had to work with him. But in the movie, it's amazing. I don't know what happened, a miracle. We were so surprised, you know. It's so real and so funny.
And there's something what I always say, and Rainer, we always say, that everyone can play himself. So I would never, I met Gennaro, we talked about his life, that he never saw his father, that he grew up alone in Naples. So very interesting things that made us feel close. So for me that's important. When I see him, I see how he moves, how he drinks his coffee, how he smiles. I know that he can do the role. I would never say, let's try it out, because I know that this doesn't work out. But when we're on the set and there is some basic, this works out. I can be very, very sure. So also with Vera, I didn't do a casting. I just wanted once. Her father was friend of Sergio Leone, and she knew Sergio Leone very well, and Sergio Leone wanted to give her a role in his last movie. So this is a very important story we wanted to have in the film. We did it, but we didn't have place afterwards, and I didn't want to show her just about the famous people she was with, because this was also would be, I wanted her to be herself. So. And this I tried once with Vera, that she told me the story of Sergio Leone, and she told it to me 3 times, because this is important for me as a director, that I understand, is she coming better, or is it the first that she's good? And she would become always better, and because she would reduce. She's not a person that wants to do too much, but she reduces, and that's wonderful. That's what good actors do in movies. In theater, it's not good to reduce too much.
Yeah, Vera got a prize in Venice just a few days ago. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But
I still get emotional when I think about it. I'm pathetic, I know, but this was really too much for me, you know.
so you are not so much acting anymore, is that correct? Or are you still taking part in movies and theaters, or?
No, I have to do something in theaters, an opera, rock opera with music live that take inspiration from the Inferno of Dante. I like theater a lot. I used to play in theater from when I was very young. And concerning movie, now I'm following this movie. We have lots of festival, and I want to enjoy and live the life of this movie, you know. I'm not thinking about other movie. Of course, if Almodovar called me and said, I want you absolutely in my movie, I would run. But I mean, I'm not thinking about this all the time. This is a big satisfaction, you know. Sometimes very talented people doesn't have the opportunity to show their talent in an entire life, you know. If you think to, I don't know, Van Gogh, Ligabue, they die with no money, they wasn't famous, you know. And so I thought that I would do the same, and so now I know that it's not like this. So all the rest is a plus, is more. I'm already very happy to have the opportunity for one time in my life to show that I could do something as actress.
Congratulations again. Your father, Giuliano Gemma, I'm sure many Icelanders know his work because he was one of the most famous actors in Italy, playing those spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about him and how it was growing up with him? And yeah.
I grew up in a reality, very in an amazing reality, in a set of Western movie. I was like that, with all people dressed as cowboy around me, eating paella, this typical Spanish food, being careful to doesn't disturb in this irreal, wonderful world, you know. And I used to be online to watch my father movies in front of the cinema because they had lots of public, you know. So I grew up with this idea of cinema. Cinema is in my blood, you know, it's my story of life. With this wonderful father that was the good hero. So I was hoping to be more bad than him, you know, because this idea of goodness and perfection makes me feel that I had to do some mistakes in life, and I did it.
That's great. But also early in the film, it says that there was a lot of emphasis on beauty, on being beautiful.
Yes.
And that you have a sister, Juliana?
Yes, in my family, you know, family are not perfect. They all did some mistakes in a way or another. In my family, there was with this idea of beauty. You had to be beautiful. Maybe because my father makes at the beginning all his success and his money with his incredible beauty. So we was the daughter, and we had to be in some way beautiful. My sister was very beautiful. She looked like my father more than me. I wasn't so beautiful, you know. So they was working on me to be to be the right daughter of Giuliano Gemma. But I was thinking all the time, one day I will show them that I am someone, even if I'm not so beautiful.
You are so beautiful, Vera.
Oh, thank you. This is what you think.
But what about, is it true with the nose? That,
Yes,
yes,
because the Sergio Leone daughters make these plastic surgery in their nose. So my mother said, "You girl have to do it. Let's go."
Both of you.
We was like very young, and you know when you are so young, you believe to what your mother said. She said, "You have to do a little bit your nose," and my nose was perfect, you know. So this was kind of crazy in my family.
Should we look at some clips of your film?
Yes. Yes, maybe we show the clip. Yes, the first clip. Yes, the first clip. It's the discussion with the kids. But yes.
Yes.
Comunque la casa è bella questa.
Bella?
Sì.
Però è troppo grande.
No, io vorrei tanto avere questa casa.
Sai che io sono cresciuta sempre in case grandissime, però c'era tanto lavoro, tanto impegno, bisognava pulirle tutte. Invece adesso sto in un appartamento normale e sto benissimo.
A me piace tanto avere una casa di questa.
Sì,
Sì.
ma l'importante è essere felici, non importa dove stare. Io quando ero piccola avevo queste case grandissime, ma non mi sentivo tanto felice.
Perché? Se avevi avevi un prato grande.
Un prato grandissimo avevo.
Io ci scaverei dentro. Ci farei una buca grande.
Per cercare un tesoro?
Sì.
C'era un giardino enorme, c'era una piscina, c'era un campo da tennis.
No, che bello.
Era grandissima.
Se c'era un campo da calcio era meglio.
So this is a good scene to explain how we work. So they went in this movie to prepare for a birthday party. We went in a shop and we shot this scene in a shop where we didn't ask before. That's also something when you work like this, documentary or not. Sometimes you ask permission and you don't get it. Then you have to think about it. Do we ask permission a week ago, or do we ask it when we are right there, that they can see that we don't have a lot of equipment? That there's where the kid, he has the camera already on the shoulder, I have a little microphone. So in this shop, we knew it would be very difficult, so we said, could we just film a little bit? We don't film. And they were so busy that they said go, and we went, so that's also a topic for young filmmakers. How do I do it? No, do you have to pay and organize everything, or can you do it in the kamikaze style? So we did this scene, and then there was written, they are waiting for the car, for the driver to come. So we went, we didn't choose the location. We went with Vera, and the boy said, where could we sit? Where could this be, this location? And we found this location. And the only thing I remember that we said to them, now you say, where is Walter? Why does he come? We have to wait for Walter. And in this moment, the kid sees this house, which for him is a villa. It's the most beautiful thing he ever saw. And he would start talking about this house. So everything was happening, this scene was not written. It was, and it would have been terribly wrong if this had been written for the kid, impossible to act, no? But this is what we search when we do a movie, that we are surprised on set. So you have to need this really, really talent of Vera, that she is in, and she would give something from her life. When I was young, I had big houses, I was not. So you can, that's a genius, and so the kid, she cannot understand at all. So this is something that we call it the presents we get when we are filmmaking. These are the things that happen that are better than the things that we imagine what would happen. So, and this is really talent that you can be, even from the kid, that he trusts us so much. We're always with him, that he would not look to the camera, what shall he do, or he would not seem insecure. No, he's here with Vera and he stops with her, and that's amazing.
And that's also why we shoot chronologically, so that the relationship between our characters is real. So the development of this relationship. So also this scene is building a relationship between Vera and the child.
And how long time did it take to shoot this film?
We shot 2.5 months.
Yes, 42 days we have
42
done
days,
this.
yes. Or 45 days, yes. So we shot it between 2 lockdowns. That was, we were shooting, yes, nearly every day. So we had to hurry. We knew that there would be the next lockdown. And for us working as in a documentary style, we didn't want that people wear masks. So this was also a challenge for us to make the scenes without masks.
We work like really crazy for many reasons. We was afraid that the COVID was coming back. The actor, Daniel, is not a professional actor, so he could work just Saturday and Sunday because he had another work. So we basically never rest for 2 months.
But we always try just to do 1 or maximum 2 scenes a day. So a day like this, it would be the shop where they shop, and they would wait for the car. And then it's so because we cannot, it's too much for us. It's so much concentration. It's so much hard conditional work also with the camera, with the sound. Also, I had a real neck problem with the sound making and carrying, because we have no assistant that carry our bags. So that's what Ryan and us are doing. So we're really, really tired. And when you come home, you cannot say, no, I rest. No, you have to think, what are the dialogues for tomorrow? What will I do? How is the time? What film will we put on? So it's really a high stress level. But we realized also with Vera, because Vera said to us, I have to sleep. If not, I don't look well, and I don't want to. But we noticed that when she had a high stress level, she was even better. So that was our problem. So
but we also, Vera always had to come from Trasteva to San Basile, which is already 1 hour more or less in the car, because the traffic is terrible in Rome. And so for you, the days were also very long, and not just for us. And we, after the shooting, we had also to bring the material, because we shoot on film to the laboratory. So we really had long days.
I wonder if we should maybe see another clip, and then we can
maybe
have questions.
Yes, maybe the third clip in this case.
Tre per 2?
6.
Bravo. 3 per 3?
9.
3 per 1?
3.
Risultato?
396.
Ma bravissimo!
Ho fatto 3 male.
Vabbè, si fa. Poi che cosa abbiamo? Un chicco d'uva che mi sembra importantissimo. 208 per 4. Colonna. Eccoci!
Io aspetto qui,
Ciao papà.
Te devi andare via. Devi andare via da qua, oh.
Che hai detto?
È proprietà privata, non ci può stare qua.
E chi lo dice?
Lo dico io. È proprietà privata, non ci può stare
Sì.
qua.
Ah, e
Soprattutto chi non è buono a guidare, se ne deve andare.
È un posto per i truffatori qua?
Ma truffatori.
Cerca di andartene, stai
Truffatori,
lontano.
dico, ma come ti
Stai
permetti?
lontano.
Ma come ti permetti? Come ti permetti?
Stai
Truffatori, dico,
lontano.
che siamo qui.
Oh, pure te!
Te ne devi andare, oh.
Pure te!
Buoni, devi andare via.
Cerca di andartene a
Te ne
fanculo
devi
te.
andare. Devi andare via da qua.
Cerca di andartene a fanculo te.
Andiamo, amore mio. Andiamo, io con me, va.
Vera, tu non vieni.
So here you see something what we always try to do. We not always manage. It's to shoot a scene in one scene without editing, because something that in the pauses and something happens also, and it's for me. You also can recognize a good actor when the scene is not edited, I think. So what we try to do when we shoot is to make everything in one. So and if the scene is really working out, we would use it without editing. So that would be the most beautiful thing is not to have to interfere with the editing. So the first scene is she making homework with the boy. This is a documentary scene. We say, what the homework do you have? Sit down, make the homework. What do we do? Let's do mathematics. Huh? And then we will see what happens. We have a role. It's 11 minutes. They do the homeworks. And I will take the best thing out. The second is a little bit complicated, but here we can trust our actors. The main actors that do man, they lived a very, they lived in the neighborhood, in a very difficult neighborhood. They know what, was sagt man Gewalt? What it means to be
Violence.
Violence, and it's violence. What violence means, they grew up and they always meet violence the whole time. Also, the old man and the young man, they grew up with violence. So when I do this scene as a director, when we would say, he's coming, you're saying some offense, and you will give back an offense, and then you get corporal, but don't hurt each other. We have to do it 2 or 3 times, so don't hurt each other if possible. And the second thing is that the boy has to know. He has to know that when, after everything is over, we say him, they will argue, they will maybe shout, don't get afraid. Your daddy will take you away from, and you have to turn around and say, Vera, aren't you coming? That's your only thing. You stay here, you look what the adults do, you go away, but then you have to turn around and say, Vera, aren't you coming? So this is essential. So this is very difficult, and we could do it 3 times because the 3rd time was already very, very violent, and so we stopped it. But this is then more difficult as filmmaking. That from the coming to the argue, from the going away, and that the kid does the right thing. This is then more difficult, but this is also what makes everything which is difficult is more interesting.
Definitely, totally agree. Should we turn now to you guys, if you have questions? I see Gaga, film director, raising her hand.
I wanted to know how, like you answered a lot of it, how prepared, like, are you in the pre-production? Do you rehearse some scenes, or do you like do shot lists? Are you know, or is it just a talk between you two the day before, or how is it?
A lot of it happens the day before because as we shoot chronologically, we know what happened the day, so we have to adapt our script every day because there always happens things that we cannot predict, so we have to adapt it, that it is credible. We would never rehearse, that is something we don't do. We trust that all our actors that we choose, they can be themselves and they can be good. Because I always say, very polemically, there are no bad actors that exist, it's just bad directors. If you don't make the actors feel right, or that you love them and that you really want to work with them and that they feel loved and appreciated, then they won't be good. And if they don't have time, and if they need a pause, or if her washing machine were broke, she could not work because it was all under water. I would not say, yes, but we said you have to be there at 4, we have to work. So this is what... Yes, it's flexible because we're just 2 on set. It doesn't cost anything. We take a day more. Our hotel doesn't cost anything. Our cameras, ours. So that's not a problem. But this is what it is to me. That there are no bad actors, but you can, if they really feel that there's a sense what they're doing, they will be good. And that's mine and his job to feel them and make them feel good.
And about the preparation in this movie, we had Titsa wrote a very. For us, a very long script. So it was really like a screenplay, a usual screenplay. And usually we don't have that. Usually we just have 20 pages of the storyline. And that helped a lot in this movie. It was very important for us.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I heard you say yesterday that you had to write it for getting some money for it.
Yes.
So I was wondering, did you throw it away or did it actually become useful?
No, it was useful. It was useful, but for planning everything, because we knew the scenes that are important and we need to be shot next. But it had no dialogues. This is something that we always develop during shooting.
Always on the set.
Yeah.
On the set. But this, it had dialogues, but sometimes we even use them. Yes, yes. But usually we don't write any dialogues in the script. But in this case, it really helped a lot.
And what is important, Mary, to add, all our actors never see the script. But what is important for me, very, very important, is when I have written the idea, when I have the script, that I go to the main actors and I tell them, because I am using Vera so much from her personal life that she has to like the script. I cannot do a script taking her as a person and she would not like or identify with it. This is in all the movies, one of the very, for me, the most exciting thing is to go to the person I would like to work to and to present the script. And if she would say, no, I don't like it or I'm not interested in it, that would be it. That's because I cannot decide for her. And that was with all the characters, it's very important. But she would not read it. I would say, I remember I was on the sofa, we were sitting here, and I said, and then happens, and then you say, and then this goes. But when we shoot, she would not get it, that she can, sometimes some scenes which are very difficult, like on the seaside with her friend, where they talk a lot. It's good when they read it, what I wrote, that they can imagine what is going on, but they don't have to learn about her. But I remember a very funny story. When she did the scene with the taxi driver and she wanted to bring him home, she asked him, do you want to sleep with me? I wrote something that was so ashamed. I wrote that she said, you want to enter with me? I give you what you will lose during you're not working. And Vera, she hates me. She said, I would never say that. I never said that to a man.
I don't need to pay a man.
Yes, I don't need
They
that.
will come immediately with me.
And she said, what is in your fantasy? What's wrong with you? And I was so afraid because maybe as a person, I never was in this situation that I ask a boy to come with me because I'm different, no? So this is what I say. This is what in my fantasies, no, that you would have to give someone who would
You have a wrong idea about me. You think I'm so sad. I can have all the men that I want. There was this pathetic scene and she was like, no, we don't have to say that. Keep the cow.
No, but maybe it's because I thought when I would ask a man, I would have to give him a lot of money, you know? That's what this, everyone is different.
I also just want very quickly. I also felt I loved some of the scenes like when they were seen in the restaurant and I was thinking, was it like when you were doing the scripts? Because I felt that it was like stories from like small stories from Italy, was that like something you thought about beforehand or just happened?
No, absolutely, because we think a filmmaker has to talk about social issue, and what we love is how people live nowadays. That's what we would know. We have no idea of costume films because what we need is the social situation now, without being political explicit, you know. But to see how people live, what problem do they have. And how live people like Vera or people in the neighborhood. So this is absolutely an idea that you have the chance, and also to conserve things that will not be here 100 years. Maybe nobody is going to sing in these old songs in 100 years, no? So this is also something we are very pathetic about, conserving things that are going to die out.
Auður is an Icelandic writer, and they're actually sisters.
And they have a famous relative.
Yes. Oh.
But I wanted to ask, did you end with the same storyline as in the beginning? You know, such a creative process, did you change the storyline when you had a very interesting scene or something like that?
Absolutely, yes, we changed the storyline. For example, Daniel, we didn't know about his tattoos. We know that he had tattoos, but I never saw him without a shirt. But when we decided to work with him, I asked him, yes, now tell me about the tattoos, and he showed me these tattoos. And I immediately changed the script. I said, okay, good and bad, we have this in the movie. Where can he show and where can he explain? What is the good point? And that would be the good point at the end. But this is something we immediately, or that the old woman, the nonna, she would say that she had no water when she was a kid living in the suburbs. So this is great. I immediately changed the script. That's the best thing that can happen. That you or for example, the kid would not have birds in my script, but. We met the kid, and the kid had, I love my birds. I say, bring them. We have them in the movie. So this is, everything is changing all the time, and that's something difficult because you have to admit that your fantasy is not so good as reality. But I admit it really with simply way, no? And everything is different than what you imagine. Also, this film, I imagined it differently, and then it's like this. You imagined it differently, but you know, in this creative process, you have to accept afterwards, no? That it's what we found and what we did, and yes.
And you were never afraid of losing control?
We lose control all the time, don't we? But this is the mess with editing then afterwards. With editing, it's really, sometimes we edit a year because we lost so much control that we have to find the story again on the editing table. In this case, we throw out the beginning of the movie I wrote. The whole beginning, and we started with the scene of which was meant to be in the middle of the film, the party. We put it on the beginning and then we let's start the film. So this also it not very often happens that I write a beginning and I take this beginning, and this movie was not like that.
Should we see the last clip? Yes? Okay.
Dove sei stato?
Signora stava con me.
Ma chi è?
Sono andata a prenderlo a scuola, l'ho portata a prendere un gelato, avevo avvisato il papà, sono
l'amica. Va bene. Prendi?
No, la prendo io.
Scusa, no. Va bene. Fatto una buona pasta e fagioli. Ma vedi anche tu?
Grazie signora, davvero, non vorrei disturbare.
No, in casa dei poveracci, non mangiano mai tozzi. Andiamo.
Yes, so maybe this is a scene where the location has a very important role, and in our movie Rome is maybe seen in another way than usually seen in movies. And for us, this part of Rome, which is called San Basilio, it's a small suburb, and it has an amazing character. And for us, it was very important to bring this character also in this movie. And we also did more or less the location by ourselves.
Yeah, you
something
found
like-
it. You found it.
Yes, this one. Sometimes we are looking. We know next day we need a good location, and because sometimes, as we talked before, the script is changing, and then we need another location, and so we knew that we have to find how they call it, nasello, no? Nasello. These fountains, they are everywhere in Rome, and then we found this location in which is really very typical in San Basilio. And when we shoot, we go there and we don't, so we take the place as it is with the people that are there, and sometimes it's not so easy because there were kids and they were wanting to make jokes, and then the scene is destroyed if they're making too much jokes. So we had also to be severe with them. And but it's funny to direct people that you never had asked them to direct them, but in this case it was like that. And then they were having a nice part in this movie, also the kids there.
Both the kid and also the grandmother was fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Yes, and that's I think that's in our movies, the movements of people and how to take the water, and this is something that they really have experienced in their life. And also this sentence that she's talking about, you always find something to eat in the poor man's home. So this is something that came from her. This is so personal. This is so, and it was so perfect in this moment. Yes.
And maybe I can add, because to your question that we changed the script. So we had we are always unprepared. And I think 1 week before shooting we didn't have an apartment where they could live. So we asked everywhere our assistant, and our assistant met a boxer, and the boxer said, my sister, and we found this apartment. And we said, yes, we're taking it. And she said, the woman gave, but there's no water. I said, okay, there's no water, okay, there's no water, that's maybe difficult, no water. And they said, what do I do? And we changed the script, okay, they live in an apartment without water. And so this scene, we wrote this scene afterwards, they have to take it down, to go downstairs and take the water, because we didn't have water. So this is also something you have to accept. What are you doing? There's no water. Okay, we have to invent something. That's also very important.
Yes. This is something that allows us, because we are two people, we don't have a big set. For example, in one of the last scenes, Vera is sitting in a taxi, and she's asking the taxi driver what day is today. And we were shooting this scene before, and then we were on the street, and we were thinking, okay, we need a taxi now. We have to. Then we asked the next person with the car, can we have your car, and could you be a taxi driver? And he said, oh, yes, okay.
No, he was a man coming back home, and we stopped him, and we said, do you have a car? And he said, yes. Do you want to be an actor? We give you some money. Can you make a scene with us? And he said, yes. And it was amazing, because when I said, which day is today? Is Friday. And I said, Friday? He said, yeah, it's Friday. What do you want to do? It was great, you know. But we found him coming back home.
It was so funny.
And he was dressed in red, like me. And she was so happy. Don't change yourself, because we was all in red.
Because at the end, I wanted to have dressed up everyone in red. The boy and the man and her and the driver also. But the funniest thing, just to finish your story, we were so happy. He's looking good. He has time. He has a car. We go to the car. It's a Fiat Punto. It's the smallest car in whole Rome. And it was so dirty that you could not film, so we had to clean the car with some and then Rainer with the camera in this car, he said, I will not manage, it's too small, I will not manage, but we managed. So this is also funny, you don't have to be prepared. You, like Vera says in the movie, you're never prepared enough in life, and that's always with filmmaking. Maybe it's better if you're not prepared at 100% than you are. Maybe it's get more creative.
But it actually sounds like the narrative of the storyline is a living creature.
Yes, yes.
Can I ask Vera one question?
Yes, we have a few minutes left.
Because you are you're an actress and you've done traditional acting, you know. It's maybe a bit philosophical. How is it to act yourself? I know it's probably different for the other people in the film, but how is it?
There is this idea that playing themselves is easy. It's not true at all, because you don't have to play the idea that you have of yourself, and you have to upset yourself. You have to know yourself. You don't have to feel the desire to be better of what you are. You know, you just have to upset yourself and be real. But you have to find the feelings and emotion that maybe you didn't live at the moment you lived 10 years before, you know. When I wake up and I realize that they steal me something because I can't find the keys in my bag and I run back home, this happened for real, you know. But this happened maybe 15 years ago. So I had to find the same emotion, the same feeling, and it wasn't easy. I made anyway a work as actress, even playing myself, you know. When you play yourself, you have to be an actress anyway. It's not like something that comes easily, immediately. And you have to be careful to be real more, I think, than if you play a character of a woman of the, I don't know, old history.
I think the most impressive thing of playing themselves is that they can't hide behind the character. So every actor hides behind the character, and he goes home, and now he can be, if he's able to be, he can be himself. But Vera acting as herself. He can't hide. So because everybody is identifying her really with her character, she's giving us her name, her story, everything.
Her sister,
everything.
her
Yes, this was hard in
This
some
is-
moment because I don't like myself so much, you know. So I don't like it not just physically, but my way to be so naive, to believe in people, so upset myself playing this character in some moment was really hard, you know. I used to come back home in the night and be very, very nervous because I was touching something very deep inside me.
What about the transvestite? And you told in the beginning that you like them, and then we get to know one of your friends. What is?
Yes, I like this idea of trans people because they have to be more woman than the woman. So they have this femininity, which is a kind of force. And I think that some women should learn from this, being proud to be women, you know, doesn't hiding this femininity. And I feel close to trans people because they always feel different. It's hard for them to be upset. And you don't have to be a trans to have this feeling. I had this feeling for all my life, to be different, you know, and to scare people. So I feel very close to them, and it's true that I have the Alessandra Di Sanso, the trans that played the character of my friend, is a real friend of mine. I mean, I don't see her all the time because she's a little bit crazy and it will be really hard, but I know her from 20 years and she's a real friend.
And Asia Argento is also your friend.
Asia, she's my best friend. She's like a sister for me. I love her so much, and I think that she knows me better than anyone in the world, apart Tizza and Rainer.
Do we have more questions? Maybe 2 questions, and then we try to close this. Jón, also a filmmaker from Iceland.
Vera, do you see yourself differently after this film? Was this therapy in any way?
I don't know, because the first time I enjoyed the movie a lot and I didn't judge me. Yesterday was the second time and I felt that I was so ugly in the movie. Oh my God, I'm fat, I'm ugly. I always judge myself a lot. So I would like to say that I made a big evolution with this movie and I learned to upset myself, but I discovered yesterday that I'm not ready yet.
It sounds like you were the main director, like you were directing the lead actors in this film, in this particular film. You were also now these jobs require full attention, both of them. How do you set up technically to do that? How do you operate on set?
No, that is really crazy. I noticed that was the last time I can do these 2 jobs because it was really crazy. We were shooting this neighborhood is next to the hugest prison of Rome. It's practically we shoot next to the prison, and when you shoot next to the prison, they have so alarm signs that the microphone that you have they get disturbed all the time. So sometimes they didn't work, they didn't make, because I work with 2 microphones, hidden microphones, then I have mono, mic microphone, yes, in the boom a mono, but in the stereo like this. So I have mono stereo and then the 2. And this is really a problem when I'm directing afterwards and I feel that this microphone of her is disturbed. I don't have the time to change canal or to do but this is not possible. So for me it's first is directing and then it's sound. So the sound mixing boy, he's always saying to me afterwards, I saved you, he say. And he's right because it should not be like this. But I feel I cannot direct like Rainer. He's directing with the eyes, so he sees everything because even I don't see what Ryan is doing. But I learned photography. We studied photography. I know he put the 18 millimeters. You have this light. I'm next to him. He moves and I move with the sound. So we're really close together. So I can imagine what the picture is like. And I have to hear everything they say. I could not direct without hearing it. But they told me, well, you can have a second, how do you say? Yes, I didn't know this. I said, oh, this is simple. I will have a sound engineer and have a second, maybe. I do this. I once didn't do this sound for another movie. It's called Shine of Day. And there was, so I had to be always behind of him and the sound. And I hated this direct. I could not direct good. I felt like I was too far away. So this is why I decided to do it again. But I think maybe I will not do it.
No, I think she does her job very well, and I think it's very important for a director either having the sound so that you really hear what you're registering, and I love it seeing everything through my eye. So I never can understand directors who are sitting somewhere in a cabin and having the monitor, and they are not even at the scene where the scene is shot. I absolutely cannot understand how you can direct a movie like that and not being direct on the scene.
No, but this, I know quite a few directors who operate the camera, but this is the first time I hear about a director who is a sound and is booming, I think.
And that's also, I must add, that's incredible what they do, our actors do, because Reinhard, we have some language, because sometimes he doesn't know if it's, if he is sharp, then he does like this to me. So I'm doing, and they are acting, and he does like this, and I do like this, and must say, yes, it's focused or not, and they are going on, they don't care. So this is really art, I must say.
Well, I'm quite sure you could not have done certain scenes, it wouldn't have happened if you had a big crew.
No, absolutely.
So that's why the scene...
That's the compromise. You have to choose as an artist. What do I want? Whether I want perfection, or do I want imperfection, or something that happens? And we decide always for something that happens.
But you said this is the last movie you want to record sound on?
Yes, I say a lot of things.
Do we have one last question? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Kenneth Elbrook. I'm a director. I'm just curious about the 8mm film. Did Vera tell you about it, and how did you put up the scene? Because it looks very documentary.
So Vera made a documentary about her father, a very beautiful documentary. I saw, because when I met Vera, I want to see the film she was acting, I want to see the film she made, and she wrote a very interesting autobiography where I took out a lot, and then where I could feel this incredible, she's a very talented writer also. So I saw everything, and I wanted to know everything, oh poor girl. And so I knew that there was the Super 8 movies, and she had it in her apartment, but we said, no, in the apartment, look, that's not nice. Where can you find this Super 8 movies? She said, yes, there's a container with all the things of my father. And we have a lot of movies where for us, material is always a theme also. I think, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 other movies, we always have Super 8, we love Super 8. So this was very important, yes.
Yes, and it's, for us, it's always a memory also. Super 8 is like, so we were, in our childhood, we were watching our Super 8 movies, so now it's video or digital and everything. And so Super 8 is, for us, it's connected with memory. And in a way, it's also, we always have, in our movies, it's about vanishing. Vanishing is an issue in our movies. So this is also why we love this scene with the cinema, showing the old Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy film. So it's also about vanishing cinema in a way, this movie.
Thank you very much. Maybe one last question. This film is just starting its career. Are you going to go to many festivals in the near future? Are you gonna, what's
Right,
the plan?
and we normally, we have also family, so we have to quit, so we could never go to festival together. This is, normally we go to the first screening, so Venice or where we are on the festival, and then we would not go together. But this was something to go to Iceland because we were the opening film, and the kids are huge now, so they can be alone. But for a director, it's very difficult to go too many festivals because you feel like a liar, because you will see the film for the first time. But I already know it, the film for 3 years ago, I work a lot of the, so I use it, it's for me always talking about the same thing. Now it's fresh because I just showed it once and that's the second time. But after 10 times, you feel like a liar, you're always talking about the same thing and you're not working, and that's what is interesting for us. It's we want to work. That's what is the most interesting thing. So we have to find a way between. Normally we do one festival a month, maybe me, and one festival a month you. And then if we have very important, like here Iceland, we go with Vera, and that's great for us. That's the best thing. Yes.
It's been such an honor to have you here, and gives us so much to meet you and that you tell us so much about how it was made, and also Vera about you and everything. So I appreciate you coming here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations once again, and enjoy the rest of your stay here in Iceland. And for you, I encourage you to, there's one screening left. I think it's on Sunday in 1 week. So please go and see the film if you haven't already. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.